Starting in the middle of the 19th century, there was an agrarian depression in the United Kingdom. I have explored many of the factors causing this agrarian depression, and unfortunately do not have enough time to cover all of them. The factor we will be focusing on today is international competition. In this short presentation, I will be providing evidence which supports my argument that the expansion of the railway system in England expedited the shift in agrarian land use from mixed farming to specialized farming methods in order to adapt to greater competition from the international market. Specifically, the British agrarian systems shifted from mixed farming, which is farming with a combination of both arable crops in combination with livestock farming, to specialized farming focused on one crop or one type of product. My examples today will examine the shift from mixed methods to specialization in dairy cow farming in the United Kingdom. Through the maps I created with geographical information system software, I will demonstrate the shift through the analysis of quantified historical data and land use output and livestock population. So here I want to show the wheat cultivation densities in the United States at two specific points in time, in 1880 and 1910. The shading of the map represents wheat cultivation densities. Measuring the output wheat crop of the land by bushels and dividing that number by the usable acres determines these values. This value is an accurate indication of how the land was used and how productive it was. The lighter color, yellow, the lighter the color, the lower the output. So the shading will represent the same thing for every single map in my slideshow today. As you can see, with the expansion of the Great West in the United States, wheat cultivation output increased by an incredible amount. For a number of reasons, wheat from the United States soon began to be cheaper to import to the UK than to grow and produce it themselves. This is an example of the international competition of foodstuffs which contributed to the agricultural depression. So what I want to point out in these two very specific points in time is in 1880 there was a focus of intense wheat cultivation in the Northeast and a little bit in the Midwest. Then in 1910, with the Great Expansion, there's not only an expansion of wheat cultivation, but an incredible intensification as well. In the Midwest and also out to western states such as Washington and California. In 1869, the overall widespread and high density in East Anglia of wheat cultivation densities. I want to show through this map the overall decline over 68 years of wheat cultivation in the UK. What is easiest to read these maps, I would suggest focusing on maybe one area, such as this area of East Anglia, such as the counties of Suffolk and throughout each time period. So we go from 1869 to 1885, 1910 to 1931. The huge import of American wheat caused a decline both geographically and over time of wheat cultivation. So this map pretty much is displaying the opposite of what I tried to do in the previous map of the U.S. This map displays the expansion of the railway line over the last half of the 19th century. The railway layer is strategically placed over the county map to show a systematic, but still relatively quick expansion. The black lines represent the railway lines, and the pink dots signify stations along the line. These stations were areas in which not only passengers could get on and off the train, but freight as well. So I want to point out specifically even though there was a relative high density of stations in populous areas, the map for the year 1900 shows the overall expansion into more rural areas of stations. This is important when considering agricultural products. The expansion of the railway system was an integral piece along with the international competition of foodstuffs and the conversion to specialized farming methods in England. These next two maps of the year, so this map of the year 1869 and then this map of the year 1885, demonstrate milk cow population density, which is the milk cows per 100 acres of county land, which, like wheat cultivation densities, is an indicator of the extent of dairy farming practices in the area. These next two slides represent the land use underneath the railway lines. Again, I want to suggest focusing on one county or area. Specifically for the year 1869, this map helps establish previous land use patterns because the railway system, although considered intricate and expansive in a global sense, had not yet had a great effect on agrarian practices. What I want to concentrate on is the overlap of wheat production and dairy farming in the western region of the country. So you can see here, there is still a relative high density of wheat cultivation, as well as over here in the dairy farming. This indicates mixed farming practices and the degree to which mixed farming was still prominent in 1869. The 1885 map offers a helpful example of the expansion of the railway line and its subsequent effect on land use. What I want to focus on is the overall intensification of milk cow density and a regional decline in wheat cultivation. This change indicates the emerging practice of regional specialization. This process was facilitated by the expansion of the railway system. So what I want to point out here is the overall intensification of dairy farming practices while there is a reduction in wheat cultivation. We also must keep in mind that this map represents the year of 1885. While the change is obvious, the overall effects still have not been achieved. Even though the railway system had expanded greatly from 1869 to 1885, the last 15 years of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century saw even more expansion of not only railway lines, but railway technology as well. I want to end my map presentation today with a map that displayed the shift to dairy farming over the last 30 years of the 19th century. Not only was there an incredible growth in the counties that had already been practicing dairy farming, but also in general over most of the counties. It is also important to call upon the second slide I showed you today, depicting the overall decrease in arable wheat cultivation over this time span. These two maps represent the shift to specialized farming methods in England to focus on dairy cow specialization for profit. Milk cow density has become more widespread even in counties previously dominated by wheat cultivation density. Again, focusing on either one county or an area is helpful in determining the change. Okay, so why is this important? You're probably like, well, great, I love the maps. They're really pretty. Thank you. Studying the adaptation of dairy practices in a production depression is incredibly important in understanding how dairy farming became a profitable industry in England. It is also an important precursor in my research concerning the refrigerated railway car. The expansion of the railway system along specialization of agricultural practices into the dairy industry allowed dairy farm and milk cow farming to be practiced further and further away from the urban populations, which was virtually impossible before due to the short shelf life of the dairy products. This allowed for technological advancement within this agricultural field. The introduction of the refrigerated railway car was an integral step after the shift to specialization of the dairy industry in obtaining profit in agricultural products. Further parts of my work focus on the technological and mechanical advancements in the railway industry, specifically concerning refrigeration and its importance in furthering profit making in the dairy industry. Thank you.